We are live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Plant Based Running Tip Tuesdays with myself, Coach Kayla. I know today's not Tuesday, it is Wednesday, but I went out for Taco Tuesday last night, so I couldn't do this video. So we are doing it tonight. So I want to talk about today eating when injured. So when you get injured, what are those type of feelings that you feel? Because if you're like me, there's the lots of emotions going on, and sometimes could even be some stress eating or even just worry that you're going to overeat because you're not running, and then in turn you gain weight and have to get back to running. Once you do get back to running, it can be even harder, right? So there's so many emotions and so many things and feelings you may feel around nutrition and when you're injured. So that's what I want to talk about today. So this video is, specifically for those that are runners and may be injured. Necessarily you don't have to be plant-based, but I am going to talk about plant-based foods that are helpful in helping with injuries. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Again, my name is Coach Kayla, and I help plant-based runners make sure that they are fueling properly to feel good and also for performance and to meet their personal running goals or their personal goals in general. So, number one is listen to your body. Make sure to eat when you're hungry. And because you're not working out as much, or running as much, it is possible that you may feel like you have an increased appetite, or you may eat when you're bored, or you may be eating more because you're more stressed. But that's okay. Eat when you're hungry. And when it comes down to is really trying to choose the healthiest choices or the best choices that we can. So foods that are high nutrient content and low calories. So if you're already plant-based, a great thing is that's great, but we also want to remember, right, to focus on eating those whole foods, because we also know there are a lot of vegan and plant-based processed foods. These aren't the foods or the time that we should be going to these foods, but certainly if those are foods that you want or you crave, go for it. I don't think we should deprive ourselves, of certain foods because we're not running as much. So something like carbs and breads, right? That is something that I have a hard time even with that balance, because I know, okay, I don't need as many carbs, but I also know my body still needs carbs. So it's okay to have that potato. It's okay to have that bread. I just kind of try to limit myself. So if I try to have like, no more than 2 slices of bread. And I'll have the potatoes, but I just try to be mindful of how much I'm eating at a portion or serving size. And also eat mindfully and intuitively. This is also really helpful. Don't feel like you have to count calories or count macros. I don't know about you guys, but I know for me that never works. So that is not what I teach my clients. I teach them, how to eat more mindfully and fuel their bodies properly through plant-based foods, and in order to reach their goals, in order to also make sure that they're doing it in a healthy way for health, but also for performance. So how we do that is we stop, we slow down. We really have to slow ourselves down, and really think about, is this food something that I want to eat? Do I want this? Why do I want this? Right? And when we take that mindful approach and we slow down, it really helps to, less likely to overeat or eat foods that we may feel guilty afterwards or whatnot. There's no such thing as good or bad foods. As I said, even if you're not running or training as much, this doesn't mean the time where you can't eat at all. It could be a time that you could do a juice fast or something, that if you want, but I would make sure to just do the research or work with somebody and just know what you're doing if you're going to do it for a long period of time. But it could be a time, if you're not training or really doing any serious training or you're injured, that you could do that. But we also want to be mindful and know that nutrition does still play a role in helping you to heal that injury, depending on what it is. So another thing is eating anti-inflammatory foods can be really helpful. So these foods include cherries, tomatoes, olives, almonds, green leafy greens. These are all plant-based, whole food plant-based foods that are anti-inflammatory. And if you have an injury, specifically like a tendon or muscle or something like that, that's physically swollen, or even sometimes if you sprain an ankle, it can look swollen, and that's the inflammatory response. So what we want to do is eat more foods that are anti-inflammatory. A lot of people know of those as your oils or like olive oil and fish and salmon. So if you don't eat those foods, if you're 100% whole food plant-based or vegan, then try to eat more berries or um, almonds, things like that. Those are foods you could still eat. You still could eat whole olives if you are trying to avoid oil as well or limit your oils. You could also try olives. So try to eat more anti-inflammatory foods. And then with that as well, if you have any kind of bone injury, make sure to get tests or get your blood work done and see if you are low or deficient in vitamin D and calcium, and take a supplement first thing, but also make sure to start including those foods. And that's something that you want to just start doing to prevent future as well, future injuries related to the bone. So vitamin D and calcium are a little bit harder, more challenging, can be more challenging to get on a plant-based diet, but not impossible. So eating mushrooms, leafy greens, broccoli, bok choy, kale, watercress. I don't know if anyone's heard of watercress, but that's kind of like a green leafy vegetable. Chickpeas, all of these foods are plant based, whole food plant based, and they have calcium. You may have to eat more of them to get the amount of calcium that you could in a cup of milk, but there is calcium in it. So that's why we may also have to supplement, especially if you already have a bone related injury. Most likely, it's probably a really good idea to supplement. But just for future, and to just start eating more of these foods is certainly a good time to start paying attention to nutrition and including more of those foods, right, to prevent anything, any future injuries. And it's also really good time, since you're not training as much and you're less busy, to focus more on that nutrition and really tune in, really figure out, are there improvements that I could make? Is there somebody that could help me do this? Because I just don't know if I can figure this out on my own. Really figure out, what do you need to do to improve that nutrition in order to help prevent future injuries, or to even help you heal with the injury that you have. So I think I hit every point that I wanted to, which is great. And I also wanted to mention here, this isn't specifically related to food, but it is still related. Is something that's helped me a lot, as well as a lot of my clients that I work with that have gone through injuries, is doing some sort of yoga and meditation. So that can look different for a lot of people. Some people like to kind of walk through nature, and that's like their meditation. It could be, just sitting on your mat and listening to a guided meditation. It can be, taking a walk and listening to a guided meditation or meditation music in your ears. It could look different for a lot of people, but I think meditation really does help, and it is related to food because it can help you to release some stress that you may be feeling because of your injury and you can't run anymore, or maybe decrease that anxiety when you maybe running help decrease that anxiety. So that meditation is going to really help. And if you're somebody that eats or stress eats, then that's going to help prevent that, right? So that's, whoops, my desk moved. So that's just another tip too that I wanted to mention as well. So just to review everything, number one, listen to your body, eat when you're hungry, eat mindfully and intuitively, choose whole foods as much as possible, eat more foods that are anti-inflammatory. Typically, if you have like tendon, muscle, or have an inflammatory response due to the injury, and also if you have a bone injury, supplement or make sure that you're eating plant-based foods that have vitamin D and calcium. So those are our mushrooms, our leafy greens, our broccoli, our watercress, our chickpeas, our anti-inflammatory foods. Remember, those are our berries, specifically cherries, tomatoes, olives, almonds, green leafy greens. Again, these are all foods that are really good, that are anti-inflammatory and really help you speed up that process of healing. And lastly, yoga and meditation are also really helpful in preventing stress eating, relieving anxiety, and really helping you to, in general, just handle the injury and handle that time and missed time with your friends or out running or whatever it is. I know it can be really hard. I've been there too. If any of you are going through that, certainly don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm here for you guys as well. I know many of you are there for me as well, which is amazing. And why I love this community so much is we just can relate to each other and we help each other out and we were there for each other, which is really, really amazing. So thank you all. And as always, I am taking on more clients. I do work with clients one on one. So if you are interested in working with me, don't hesitate to reach out. You can email me at kayla@plantbasedperformancecoaching.com. Or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and obviously YouTube. You can find me there as well. Thank you again. And we hope to see you next Tuesday with Plant Based Running Tip Tuesdays with Coach Kayla. Bye.